Rorschach Journal. Entry date September 11th, 2022. I've just come across two hobos in an alley. One is possibly wanting to be dominated by She-Hulk.
You really gonna call me out on the day of the anniversary of Silver Side Up?
I've just come across yet another review for Remember the Hyphen. The show where they look at comic books, movies, and everything in between.
And Adam can't fucking breathe in that mask at all.
What are you talking about? This is my face.
Who's Adam? This is Warstash. Adam's gone.
All right.
Fuck!
Welcome to Remember the Hyphen, everybody. The show where we look at comic books, movies, everything in between. I am Ever Show Squad.
And I'm Zongetsu134.
And I'm WD Ross 94.
Oh, thank God we were finally starting. I am starting to fucking literally sweat in this thing. Oh.
Your face! Your
Listen,
face!
you want to disinfect it, use lots of powder. You don't want to shave.
But,
Anyway.
How about use the one that's in the river in the swamp?
Listen, we should have got the Japanese one with the slanted eyes, because that shit was funny as fuck.
Jesus Christ.
I would love to see someone try to justify why we're using that.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
welcome to our second part of our review of Watchmen. After last time where we spent almost 2 hours talking just about the characters, now we're just gonna dive into the plot.
The plot thickens.
now,
There will probably be a third part to this when we finally do the movie, but
Yeah. Now, I should clarify, we're not going to be going issue by issue, because,
we don't have that kind of time.
yeah, this would be like a 4-hour video, and as much as I would enjoy that, we don't.
I don't have the
that kind
camera
of-
space for that.
We just gotta work. Like, we're tired. We're broken. We need rest.
I need Adam to come in with some extremis and fucking fix me!
Well, I'm sorry, Colton, but we don't have Extremis in the budget. I spend most of it having to get cameos for She-Hulk.
Jesus.
Anyway, so yeah. Now, to be fair, the plot of this is very straightforward for the most part. It is very issue by issue. But the basic premise is, the comedian Eddie Blake was murdered in his apartment, and Rorschach investigates it. As he investigates it, he realizes that this person is targeting superheroes, and that there is a huge conspiracy going on in it, which eventually drags all of the Watchmen into this, and revealing that one of them is a traitor. That's more or less the very...
There's a traitor
Spoilers.
among us.
I mean,
Thank you.
Watchmen is one giant game of Among Us. You heard it here first.
Adrian Veidt is the
Has been ejected,
been
from
ejected.
the spaceship.
by the way, expect spoilers. I mean, I think it's already obvious.
I'm not tagging nothing. This is a card, but it's been out since the 80s. Fucking
Yeah, I was
read
about
it
to
at
say.
this point.
is.
This came out in like 88.
Right.
I think you all have had time to read the fucking thing.
Well, if you watch, the Newgrounds.
This book is older than
parody.
me.
Well, yeah, if you watch the Newgrounds parody, you pretty much know
Oh
it.
no, Adrian.
The Reds are polluting the city lake.
What
do we do?
We call the Watchmen.
John can give you cancer, and he turns into a car.
This is a real anime parody film. It's
Yeah, you can see the whole thing on YouTube.
by
I'm going to murder all of you.
But no,
The comedian's our biggest fan.
which is so creepy.
Yeah. And we basically went into the storylines for each of them pretty much, but we'll probably have to rehash some of them because I'm sure we're going to talk about them. But right out of the way, let's get out probably the only thing that I think all of us agree is like the worst part.
Tales from the Black Frigate.
Yeah, Tales from the
Yeah.
Black Frigate. I know we talked
I knew
about
that one was coming.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it in there, but so Tales of the Black Frigate is supposed to kind of be like a
Parallel story.
parallel story, which I want to say it's Adrian that's reading them, or it's either Adrian or Rorschach that's reading the book.
No, it's that kid on the block with
Well, I know the kid on the block, but like one of the other ones is reading it too.
Oh,
Like,
they are?
One of the characters is reading it.
I think
too.
Adrian, because he hires the artist, right, or the writer.
Yeah,
So I think it would be Adrian who would do that.
yeah. Like Adrian basically is like because it's supposed to explain Adrian's reasoning for doing what he's doing. It's just that book doesn't end.
And it moves like molasses.
Like that is really the biggest problem. Is it moves like molasses, and
It's almost like commercials within the book, honestly.
yeah, which is weird because the commercials in the book are actually pretty good, like the nostalgia one for the
Yeah.
perfume.
Right.
The ad for the Watchmen action figure line,
No, I did like that one. Yeah.
which I love that they have like no villains because they didn't really.
But can we use Boobapsis though?
Yeah, which I'm like, okay.
No, more than what he's doing, but another thing too is that like it's supposed to be also mirroring like what's happening in the plot, like it's a mirror to the action or the theme, like what's going on. Not that it doesn't work in that level, but once again, in terms of pacing, it just really slows down the narrative.
Which is so weird because you think like the parts where they go into the origins for all these characters would be what slows it down.
Yeah.
Most of those are really interesting or like gives insight to the cast.
Yeah.
But like this, it's like we already know what's going on for the most part. And then when you get the big reveal at the end, it's like, oh, all that was for this? Sorry.
The best part I would say is that, because I really did try to give it a chance, because I know you guys told me, like, Doug, when you go into this, you're going to hate the black frigate. I'm like,
Just wait till you watch the 5-hour director's cut of Watchmen.
You're going to be watching the 5-hour director's cut. Me and Doug are going to watch the 2-hour cut.
I'm gonna kidnap Doug and tie him to a chair and make him watch this.
Look, you can do that.
It's like it's gonna be like Clockwork Orange.
Or better yet, just give me a bottle of scotch and I'll get through it.
Doug, listen, we'll get drunk and watch it.
I'm good with that. But, no, the thing, I did try to give it a chance. Like, at first, I'll be honest, I think the weakest was definitely the first one. It's like, it's just exposition. There's no real scenery to it. And then the best part, I think, is when the guy kills a shark, because that is kind of a epic thing, like, action-wise. Like, it's interesting. Then the rest is just like, we know what's going to happen. You already knew what's going to be the end of the Black Frigate before it gets there, so...
It's also really needlessly dark in a book that is already really fucking dark.
Yeah.
Like when he makes the raft out of seagulls and corpses.
Yeah.
I remember reading that and I was like, what in the fuck?
Yeah.
And then,
Like, would that even work?
I don't think
It would
I
with
was
the-
like, would that even work?
It would technically with the corpses because of all the gas in them that allows them to float.
I was just about to say, it has to be something like the gas
I
as
don't
the
know how
body
long
gives
it would
off.
last,
Yeah,
though.
I don't think it would last them that long.
I mean, I don't, there's no way to test that. So,
comic book.
Not legally.
well, obviously.
Not
I'm
legally.
surprised that you didn't glance your eyes
Doug,
at me.
we're going to put you on it. I mean, what?
You already got the image of me with the evil face.
But to be fair, the other problem is that the comic is all the in-story comic is also as cinematic as the book. So when it moves at a snail's pace. When like I don't know, it's weird because like the book doesn't feel that decompressed, but Tales of the Black Frigate does. It's so weird.
I think I have an explanation for that because I compare it to I don't want to be jumping around the plot story here, but I compare it to the one part where Niall and Silver Spectre what's his name? What's Niall's name?
Oh,
What? Oh my God! Does nobody remember? Okay, Lori, and
Dan.
Yes,
Yeah,
Dan.
Lori,
Right.
yeah, there we
Dan.
go.
I should have known that because he's
We didn't
named
even
after.
need to Google it.
I should know because he's named after Dan
be
Garrett.
Can you
honest.
tell we're recording this weeks after the first part?
Well,
Yeah.
here's the I was going.
And I don't have the book with me.
I was going to review last night, but I was too tired, so I forgot, and so it's been forever. But yes, Dan and Lori, when they're trying to make love for the first time with the TV in the background, and the TV in the background is Adrian doing this charity thing where he's doing gymnastics for a cause, and I would say the announcers it's a couple pages and it parallels what's going on. It contrasts what's going on with Lori and Dan versus what Adrian's doing, and the announcers bubble speeches flow very well. It's very lively. So keeps you interested. It goes pretty quick. It has good pacing. While the Tales of the Black Frigate, it does feel like molasses. I think because it's written like a novel. Tales of the Black Frigate.
Well, I almost wondered if that was the point.
Yeah, which I guess that may be the
It
point.
probably was, but
I don't know if its intended effect was to slow down though that much. Maybe a little bit, but not that much.
yeah, I can see what you mean. But it just it doesn't do anything for me.
No, and that's why I think that the announcer thing versus Black Frigate, the announcer thing works because it's it's a direct, crisp, simple writing, simple in the sense of construction. It's not too using obscure words or complicated word structures. It's it's like TV writing. It's it's like movie writing. It goes a good pace. But if it's a novel, it's a whole different medium. It does. I don't think it works for a comic book to write that way.
No,
Other than the dossiers.
like I said, I'm glad you brought up the dossiers because the dossiers illustrate just how much it slows the pace down. Because reading the book the first time all the way through, I never once felt like the dossiers slowed the pace down. I actually
Yeah.
felt like they they fit in perfectly where they should.
And again, says something because
I wanted to read them, whereas by the halfway point in the book, I straight up was like, I don't give two shits about this Black Frigate thing, and I'm like, I don't fucking get why it's here. Granted, by the end of the book, I had a theory that was like, this is here because it's supposed to mirror a slow descent into madness. It's supposed to be the opposite, or like it's supposed to parallel what was going on in the book, where like the world is getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier, and then let's dive into that. My theory for this, right?
Okay, yeah.
So the whole point of the Black Frigate, obviously, is the guy is trying to get back to his home before this Black Frigate shows up and kills everybody. He obviously gets there and he thinks that there are people there that are working with them, and he starts killing people.
Right.
You know, and the whole town's just like, what have you done? You could almost say that parallels the main plot, because the world is getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier, and then obviously Adrian, am I saying that right?
yeah, it's Adrian.
Adrian's plan is that I'm just going to unleash this big monster on New York, kill millions upon millions of people, and the world will unite against a common cause. That is a crazy-ass idea to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it almost mirrors perfectly. This guy's plan was not only to get back to his home, but to save it by taking out people that he was convinced were collaborators.
It's benevolent.
So you could almost argue it's there as like I don't even know
A mirror.
as a mirror,
Yeah.
of what's going on in the plot. But I would almost argue it's such a good mirror that it's just fucking irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's redundant.
Yeah, and again,
It's redundant because we can already infer that about the plot by just reading it. Why did we need a secondary story running through the entire book?
Yeah.
That is just there to mirror the point that's already trying to be made.
Do you think it maybe? Well, here's my question. Do you think it's kind of like a meta discussion about comics, where do you think more is like, well, see, this comic's gonna be like the Black Frigate in that world, and because comics are not just entertainment; they tell, they help with understanding what reality is, like, or try to make sense of the world. Do you think it was a meta commentary? It was like, you see how the Black Frigate mirrors this world? Well, this comic mirrors the real world.
I think it
is
was,
that too
but
meta?
like I said, it just borders on irrelevancy. Like the entire time you read it.
Yeah, especially because like
I'm sure there are people out there that will defend the Black Frigate in there and be like, "Well, it's an essential part of the story," and I'm like, I just don't get it. Like not that I don't get the story, I don't get the love for it because it just slows the pace down to a snail every time it shows up.
Yeah,
It's not essential.
to the point where when I reread it, I skip it. I could not give two shits about that stupid fucking boat.
Right.
And again, I love that you brought up you read every single dossier.
Yeah, same here too.
And again, half of the dossiers are like novels or pieces of a novel written by the First Night Owl about the history of these heroes. And that is more interesting, despite it being written like a dry biography.
And I have a question for you as a communication major. Do you think because the dossiers, they're appropriate for the medium, because they're prose, they're written language. Like, while on the other hand, the Black Frigate is supposed to be a comic, narrative. So the writings with the, the images and how they're, they move, through the narrative, it's not harmonized. It's too disjointly, and it makes it clunky. Would you say it's a medium problem?
I think it is definitely a medium problem, as you point out, because like, for one, it's hard to fucking read because a lot of it's written in cursive.
Yeah, and I hate reading cursive writing with a passion. I hate writing in cursive. I haven't written in cursive since
I know
fucking
it's
grade
supposed to be
school.
for the aesthetics, like, it's like old-timey 1700s,
When the problem is when
There's a reason translations that it's typically just printed.
Yeah.
When it's laminated onto a piece of paper, sometimes you lose a little bit of what the coherency to it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's written by someone who's not super great. I mean, granted, Morrison's handwriting in this is fine, but it's pretty bad.
Well, it's just very small too, like dense.
Yeah.
Can I say I appreciate that no one said anything about me wearing them sunglasses and then staring into the camera like I was on The Office?
Look, I thought you were having a
Talking
Joshi moment.
Like there was a point where I'm just looking dead on in the camera. I'm at the freeze frame.
Oh no, man! I'm looking at you during it.
I saw you looking at me, and I'm like, "Don't say anything. Don't say anything."
Colin's like, just enjoy the show. Oh, I was.
I was.
But can I say another thing about the dossiers? Like, I think, of course, compared to the not just that with the medium thing, but also they're just well written. Like, they're really appropriate for the message. Like, yeah, you said the first one's like the first like 3 or 4 are like of a memoir. The first Night Owl's memoir. So
Yeah.
it's written well like a memoir. Then the one about Dr. Manhattan, like the scientist guy's giving us like his opinion, where he knows both the science and political consequence of that. It's written like that.
Yeah.
Also, and of course, Night Owls, it's written with his voice. Like they are well written and they're written.
They're
accordingly to-
interesting.
yeah, and they tell more about the character
Yeah,
or
they're-
the world.
Whereas Black Frigate doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
By the way,
Not in at least a direct way.
Why
like-
don't we just make this whole video about how we hate the Black Frigate? We spent 2 hours.
No,
talking.
we're not. We don't have.
What do you have to say about the Black Frigate? It stinks, and I don't like it.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think
Guy with an 8 corpse boat. Sounds like
those reviews. But yeah,
what is he, shy? We can get a picture of a dude riding a corpse raft. Why can't I get a picture of fucking Silk Spectre and Night Owl fucking? I don't understand. Where's the justice in
Those
this?
pictures were
I
shot.
need those pictures, Rorschach.
It's the guy from the what's it, the News Frontiersman?
yeah, that guy.
You want Bobestas, you gotta go through me.
Is this just what the review is going to be now? It's just the two of you making fucking references to the Raimi film, but interlaced with Watchmen?
I know, that's every other video. What does it matter? That's all we do is references.
I'm going to look
listen,
to the
the book-
Osborns and the octopuses, and they'll shout, "Save us!" And I'll shout, "Pizza time!"
The book would have been way better if Ozymandias' plan involved Crane Dad. like he's smacking the space demon with the crane.
Save New York.
I fucking hate both of you right now.
Anyway, let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the plot. So
Listen, man, we were dealing with dark shit about some dude riding a raft made of bodies. I had to do something to make y'all laugh.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
it's-
shit.
I mean, that's fair.
it's comic relief. We got the comic relief.
There we go.
So, any more about the Black Frigate, or
No, it stinks. We don't like it. Let's move on.
Bottom line, like, if you want to see, like, a comic book writer do, like, the meta thing with comic books, look up Grant Morrison's Animal Man, that one with the coyote from, like, that does it leagues better than this, in my opinion. Which, granted, it's Grant Morrison. Of course, him doing meta textual shit is his bread, or their bread and butter, I should say. So yeah, like I don't really want to talk too much about the first couple issues because, like, again, like, they're mostly setting up the mystery and the plot. You want me to put the windows up?
Yeah, I'll say it's starting to rain, Chief.
What?
It's gonna rain.
Yeah, I know it's gonna rain.
Can I say one thing before we talk? You said it was a simple plot, which it is a simple plot, but will you say that what makes it good is that it allows to diverse from the straightforward plot to, like, these, like, side stories or side plots that, we get more into the characters.
I think so.
I would almost say what makes it good is that it's a very self-contained world and it's a very self-contained story.
Yes.
Like, the plot is simple, but it doesn't need to be complicated to be such an intriguing story. Like, I mean, I think that's, again, going back to the dossiers, it's just highlighted by the dossiers.
Yeah.
The dossiers are just as much world building as anything going on in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, like, we want to read them because
Yeah.
even as simple a story as it is, we're drawn into it. We're drawn into the characters. We're drawn into the setting. Much like let's be honest, any superhero comic generally is very, very simple. It's very core roots.
Right.
yeah.
But yet us and so many people are drawn into them because of the characters and because of the setting.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline doesn't need to be hopelessly complicated.
No,
I think here is a perfect example.
And then when we're done with it, we spend 5 hours complaining about She-Hulk online because we want to make our pee-pees feel bigger.
Jesus.
Is this going to be what we're going to do? We're just going to shit on haters? I mean, I'm cool with this, but...
I mean, I feel like this is a
It's
separate...
been a long month dealing with.
Listen, man, Moore's problem was he went woke, so he went broke.
No, I swear to
Anybody
God.
say that, I'm gonna punch somebody.
No, like, every time someone complains about politics in comics, I'm like,
Y'all are missing the point.
one of the biggest selling comic books is about the fucking Cold War.
Right. Nixon's in it.
Nixon's in it.
And
We won Vietnam. What are you on about? What are you on about, Chief?
Yeah,
The Fantastic Four went to space to beat the Ruskies. What are you talking about?
Batman and Superman punching Nazis.
Captain America straight up
America.
punched Hitler.
yeah.
Come
And,
on, man.
All right, yeah. Back to
just
the
bring us
Getting back on
course.
topic.
yeah.
I also think it helps that the story is not just told in text; it's also told beautifully through the art.
Oh, definitely.
The Dave Gibbons' artwork is masterpiece stuff.
And you're gonna hate me. I don't think it's raining anymore.
Put up the windows, or put down the windows.
It's not. It's not raining anymore. What the
All right,
fuck?
we'll just
What the fuck, man?
give me a second.
Look,
Can we film an episode where it ain't raining for 5 minutes?
You know,
Here comes.
all right. Well, just let me know if it does.
Yeah.
But no, Dave Gibbons' art I think helps really tell the story, and in my opinion, also what a lot of comic book creators don't get with the whole decompressing stories.
Mm-hmm.
You still have a lot of story. You're just telling it in a cinematic way that so the visuals complement it.
Well,
it's certainly not like, say, House of M, where Spidey goes like down a corridor with no text for 5 fucking pages. Looking at you, Bendis.
And then he fucking hangs himself. I'm like, what the
Jesus.
fuck is this, man?
Oh, I was talking about the regular book, not the
The supplementary shit.
not the supplementary.
Yeah, the supplementary stuff, Doug. He hangs himself from the bridge when Gwen died. And
Jesus!
I'm like, what the fuck, man?
It's
What is this, depressed Peter?
well, also because like House of M has almost no plot to it.
Okay.
Like most of the plot is told in the supplementary, and it's fucking obnoxious.
That sounds like postmodern bullshit.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh,
It's
God,
called
we're gonna have to
Bendis.
talk about
It's
House
called
of M at
Bendis
some
can't
point.
fucking write.
Can I say something? You were talking about like the images, like carrying the story, telling the story.
Yeah.
Well, you and I being animation guys, you ever heard the principle of like good animation is where you can show somebody the animation like sequence or section or story, and you can tell a story through animation without any words or
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I think some of the best animated shorts or pieces are done entirely without words.
right. I mean, you like make the first Mickey Mouse cartoon,
Yeah,
Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie. Yeah,
You
that
can tell
tells
the whole story without any words or written text.
the original idea for Cobbler and the Thief there was almost no dialogue.
Yeah, it was great.
Like and then they come in, they're like, "We're Miramax. We want celebrities like the fucking kid from Ferris Bueller's Day Off."
Yeah.
So that, we can have him narrate the whole fucking thing. Did you know he was in a car accident in 1986 that killed 2 people?
Man, you just love shoehorning that into everything we talk.
Never forget what Matthew Broderick did.
Stop. Stop
This is
fucking.
why we can't do Godzilla 99.
I regret we can't review Glory either, and I love that movie.
No, we will.
No.
I just want to make sure no one forgets.
No, man, I regret finding that page because that's all this motherfucker's ever done is reference this shit.
Jesus Christ.
I think it's a very interesting topic, and again, should never be forgotten.
Man, fuck this shit. I'm gonna put Spider-Man Rain again.
Well, what? So you can sit on your bed naked and
Well, I don't know. I mean, the way you're gonna talk about Pixar big asses afterwards.
Look, those asses are prominent. Sorry, I had to put that in recording.
When am I
You
gonna
are both cordially
When am I
invited to
gonna
Crow.
finally clip that episode so those clips will be on there and people can understand
Wait, I
what
have
we're
a question.
referencing?
Why
It's never
don't
been released.
We should do the best of River to Hyphen. And
Or
just
greatest
use-
hits.
Yeah, greatest hits.
we will eventually.
We will
I-
eventually. I want to set that up where we host it like it's America's Funniest Home Videos.
No, better yet, it's a clip show. We do a clip show.
that's basically what it will be.
That's been done for like what, a decade.
We're gonna draw ourselves as stick figures, and I'm gonna overdub the audio on top of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna recreate everything with stick
So
figures.
back to the story, the plot. Anything we should talk about with like the beginning of like Camille's death.
If you guys want to talk about whatever plot points you want to talk about, feel free to bring them up, and I'll.
I want to talk about how Rorschach be eating beans.
Yeah.
That is actually, I think, one of the really, like, probably the most interesting and probably one of my favorite parts of the early
Is
issues.
where he just shows up in Night Owl's house.
Yeah, and he's just chilling in there eating a can of
eating the
beans.
beans.
You want me to warm them up?
No, I come better this way.
Jesus, what is this, bean juice?
Yeah, human bean juice.
Like I think that Let's talk about that scene. 'Cause
Okay,
that's,
yeah.
that's a good version.
Well, I like the way, you know, when he's got like he's trying to reach for like a weapon because he's afraid like Rorschach.
Afraid somebody's like busted into his
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And then he puts it back away. It was really, really interesting. But no, I like that a lot because it establishes right away that these two have had a history with each other.
Yeah, it does that in a way that like it doesn't require like us getting a flashback immediately.
Yeah.
You can already infer from what's going on that something happened at some point that is making Night Owl feel like he might want to have something to defend himself.
Yeah.
Can I just-
You know, from that moment alone, we can kind of start to infer that like, you know, Rorschach went off the reservation.
Yeah.
Can I just say something about the flashbacks? Because weirdly, even though there's a lot of flashbacks throughout the whole book, I think that, would you say, they're done, like, not gratuitously? It's not like, you know, let's say, like, you know, let's say...
Well, it's not like there's one like every issue.
Well, no, it's like, okay, Adam, you know, like anime say, like, they'll pad out an episode.
Oh, yeah, we're like, and then to like...
5 minutes or, like, of total of, like, 10 minutes of the episode is just flashbacks of different
Oh,
characters.
yeah, to the point where, like, I remember Naruto had the worst, where they did a flashback within a flashback.
Exactly.
Inception?
Yeah, it was like that, except shitty.
So the reason
I mean,
talk-
Inception's already pretty shitty, so...
Right. So the thing I want to talk about with Watchmen is I feel like when it's done pretty much to like a masterful point where it's not gratuitous. Everyone is needed, and it's done like it's done as needed. It's not like, as you say, we could have had flashbacks of Night Owl and Rorschach, you know, doing stuff together before Rorschach went off the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need that. It's told through their interactions in the present. And when it is a flashback, like the one at the funeral,
Yeah.
they're very short, very to the point flashbacks.
Well, I also like how Morrison sets them up, where someone is seeing something in the present, and the next panel
You mean Alan Moore?
or more.
Grant Morrison?
I meant more.
I granted, they're both crazy wizards. So.
Yeah.
Their last names will start with M, so it's you can forgive me for mixing up, but you know, like it would show like one of them standing at like the grave, and then the next panel is that layout, but it's in a different place, like showing how like this person is thinking about it, and it like he's very artsy, or like, I shouldn't say artsy. It's very well structured.
It's very well framed.
Yeah, very well
You
framed.
mean artful?
Yeah, artful.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
framed. I love every single one of them is like that. And it works so well.
Good. It has good juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Juxtaposition. I can't say.
No, I think that's actually what makes all the flashbacks work.
Yeah.
Is because we see why these characters are thinking about it, and like why it's led up to that point. To the point where like the end of it also will seamlessly transition back into the present.
Actually, can I say, I imagine that Moore, of course, is a literary guy. He loves literature, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I imagine that he got that.
Yeah, he wrote a
from-
porn about Wendy losing her virginity to no, it was Dorothy losing her virginity to an 80-year-old Wendy in a book called The Lost Girls.
That's equal to Ulysses. I'll say that. That's next to War and Peace.
I also told a story about how Dorothy lost her virginity in the tornado.
Okay, as I was trying to say, is that concept has been used in literature with Marcel Proust's Remembrance of Times, where somebody says like mentions the cookie, the Madeleine, the French cookie,
Yeah.
and it brings back that person's childhood. So think with like Joyce, James Joyce, or Virginia Woolf.
Oh, like the scene in Ratatouille.
High art. Yes, that's right. That that is that's very apropos of you.
Or that one song about like, why didn't you leave me alone? I was almost home.
Trying to bring culture to this channel.
And you bring it
I
up.
not enough at work.
You bring it up sad ass country because they were playing it at work today.
It's up there with them playing fucking Concrete Angel.
Oh god.
I'm like, I fucking work in retail. Why do I got to be depressed while I'm doing the work?
Don't worry, Adam. I'll call in and request some Linkin Park for you.
You are cordially invited to crawl right up my ass.
Oh, thanks.
So back to what I was saying. I think that Moore definitely did that with the writing, like he incorporated that. But of course, Gibbons, he did that really well with the art. So I think that both like they use that concept of stream of consciousness really well in Watchmen.
Yeah, like especially because Gibbons at this point had worked with Moore a lot. I want to say he was also the artist on The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And he worked with a young Alan Moore, so you didn't have to deal with him being like, oh, it's all horseshit. It was, oh, they want me to do a Batman story. Me, little Alan Moore.
You make it sound like a Dickensian orphan.
That basically was how a young Alan Moore was. We've seen the Simpsons episode where he loves
Yes,
Lulu.
yeah, I did. You know, can you sign my copy of Watchmen Babies?
Yeah. In V for Vacation. Which that was a amazing sight gag when the Simpsons did it. It was funny as fuck.
Yeah. Let's see. What else?
But no, like going back to the scene you talked about, I love that. I love their interactions. I love at the end when Rorschach shows that, like, even though like Dan is retired, he still has like the trappings. Like he finds the secret panel that lets him into the Night Owl's secret hideout.
The Owl's Nest.
The owl. I don't even think he actually calls it that in the story.
That's just what I call it.
No, it should be.
It should be, yeah.
That's a great name.
Because I've never picked up the name of the lair.
The Roost. That's actually what he should call it, is the Roost.
Jesus.
But like I love that. I love when he sits down in front of Archimedes and like he holds the button, showing like how like he still has all these trinkets and like gadgets and like everything lying around. But then you cut to Dan, who's in his full civilian outfit, holding the button. Because he's on a precipice between becoming the hero he once was and not, which is further played up by the button, which has the midnight clock on it, thanks to the smear.
Yeah.
Which the atomic clock plays a very big the countdown, of course, to midnight.
Would you say like the smiley face, like the smiley face of the blood smear and the clock, the midnight clock? Would you say there's like our visual motifs throughout the story?
Oh yeah, like they play that shit all over the place.
Yeah.
To the point where the movie straight up has a scene where they show scientists moving the clock, which I know that that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But it was fucking hysterical when the movie did it, because I'm like, thank you. Please don't do that again.
Too hard on the nose?
Yeah, very on the nose.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the problems with the movie when you watch it, Doug, is how much they take like the like plot elements where, Moore and Gibbons put them in tastefully and with purpose.
Subtle, yeah.
Not so with the movie, where they will just reference something from the book and then never do it again.
Oh, wow.
They bring up nostalgia once in the book.
What?
It's at the very beginning, and that is the last time you see it.
Okay, you're ruined it. They don't do we'll get to it, but the famous nostalgia perfume Spain thing when Laurie's on Mars. They don't do that?
They don't do that. No.
We'll get to that scene.
Because they're too busy playing all sorts of 60s rock music.
That's not bad, but it's like, why can't you do both?
That's Zack Snyder for you.
Because damn it, we paid money for this licensing.
And also, I think that's the nice thing about, like, what? Dan and Rorschach work well together, because Rorschach represents what Dan wants to be, again, a hero. And of course, the famous thing, like...
But he's almost too afraid to be.
Yeah.
Because he knows, like, he doesn't want to be like Rorschach, where Rorschach has gone...
It's all he has. He's become consumed by it.
So,
Yeah.
it is like a nice, like, a doppelganger pairing thing, then, where...
Well,
like,
A yin to the yang.
yes.
it also works really well, kind of bringing up the impotency thing with him. And I don't just mean, like, the sexual impotency. Like, his impotency is not just sexual.
It's mental.
Well, it's mental, and it's affects his everyday life.
Yeah.
Like, I really love that scene where he takes Laurie to dinner. And he's trying to, like both of them are trying to just be normal people.
And they don't know how.
They don't know how, because literally all they've ever been is superheroes. Even when they stopped being them, actually.
Right.
Laurie is still dating Dr. Manhattan. So all she's known is, like, Manhattan and his life.
Yeah.
And Dan does nothing with his, as far as we know.
Other than occasional, like, bird studies, because he's...
because he's a ornithologist.
Ornithologist.
Which, sadly, I only know that word because of Die Another Day.
Can I,
world is not enough.
Can I say something also about, like, because, okay, the first couple chapters are more like all the characters are like a kind of like objective POV.
Yeah.
What they do like the book, and that makes it like it's simple plot, but it fleshes out the characters in the world because they're character centric POVs. Like because the next chapter is Rorschach investigating, where you hear about his journal and like his the style of his voice, like his his monologues.
Yeah.
You know, this city is like full of venereal diseases, and I walk through it every day. There's French love and Swedish love and German love. What about American love? Like a bottle of Coca-Cola. That's an actual line from the book.
No, oh my god! Like Rorschach's like ranting or like dialogues in here are like they really do feel like you're listening to the ravings of a madman.
Well, listen, I'm just impressed that Doug didn't immediately make a joke that, like, what, did Colton write this?
Oh yeah, I should have. I should have thought that.
About Coca-Cola, did Colton write this?
Is this Colton's diary?
I'm just more surprised you didn't go with the whores and the politicians monologue.
Well, no, Riley wrote that one.
Well, does he also use like a?
Damn, Riley ain't an incel.
Does he also use a?
Right, he doesn't have the neck beard for it.
Incorrect word for mentally challenged people, like.
Yeah, but to be fair, that was because that was
Well,
That
here's
was the
thing.
80s and it was edgy.
But
and it
here's
was
the-
the only word they really sadly
well,
had.
Yeah, but the thing is also, I think in context,
It
we're
further
not-
just demonstrates how diluted Rorschach is
Yes,
mentally.
thank you. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be. That's the thing. Actually,
That he doesn't care about using those words.
Well, yeah, and also he is kind of building himself to be in. Well, I know it's been overused on this channel. Sorry, which an unreliable narrator.
Oh
where-
yeah. Well, to be fair, that's a good place to way to use it because like he's so far gone.
Right, in his
Like,
own
it's-
twisted perception of the world.
Yeah, like he's paranoid. I don't know if he's
Reactionary?
schizophrenic, reactionary. He believe like the only news he gets is from like tabloids and like
A far right, like wing,
yeah,
like
like
political
he's a conspiracy theorist.
yeah.
Like the dude
What's
is
that called in the book? Frontiersman? Is that what that's
Yeah, the
called?
New Frontiersman.
Yeah, News Frontiersman. Yeah.
Which I actually want to say, in the early days of the internet, there actually used to be a comic book news group that called themselves that.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I don't think they exist anymore.
Might be archived somewhere.
But I want to say that was a thing. And I also want to say that they use the New Frontiersman in the DC universe too. Because they love like referencing Watchmen throughout the DC universe. And then eventually bringing Watchmen into the DC universe with Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to at one point, I think.
Should I read that?
We can probably review it quicker than it took them to actually publish that shit.
Well, that's more because they were like, well, how long will we wait until we just finally get rid of fucking Jeff? Because I think he's the worst part of this whole thing. It's totally not the fact that we have no idea what the fuck we're doing, and Jeff does, but we think he's the reason why our movies are failing.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Fuck you, DiDio.
Sorry, so going back to what I was saying, so we have that with Rorschach's POV in investigating the case because he learns like leads of the comedian's murder.
Yeah.
Then of course we get to Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan's next story in the next issue where, well, it's the one where of course he goes on TV, he thinks it's going to be a regular interview, and it turns out that there's this story, this leak of supposedly he caused all like his ex-lover Jenny and all of his former friends since the accident where he becomes Dr. Manhattan, that they all have cancer and that he supposedly caused it.
Yeah, that you killed all the people that you loved.
But that's from his point of view, and once again, like I think that what makes it really good with even though it's simple story, it's a simple story plot or plot line, by having that POV perspective of the characters during that issue, you get a fleshed out character along with a more fleshed out world.
Yeah. I also like the way the flashbacks help us learn about the comedian.
Yeah.
Since he's dead at the start of this book,
Yeah, and
like
also-
we have to pretty much infer everything we know about him through the flashbacks.
And not
which
just not in one, but there's like there are different flashbacks throughout the story. So it's not like a whole issue is a flashback. It actually is like learning somebody through memories, or like learning like actually cool. Maybe you can understand this. Learning, let's say, a person from history that doesn't have a lot of documents on them, but you learn from testimonies from people you knew.
There's a term for that. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what the term is.
Right, but it's kind of like that though, where it's geniusly used.
It's not in media res, is it?
No, that's when it starts in the middle of.
Yeah, that's
action.
I know what you're talking about, but
I don't know the word either.
There's a
but-
term for
There's
it.
a term
I
for it.
don't know what it is.
But I think it's just like it's smartly used in the way that they develop the comedian's character and his story.
Yeah. Especially because like I at least give credit for Moore. He does not sugarcoat who the comedian is.
Yeah.
Although he does like to use one of his favorite tropes in fiction.
Yeah.
Sexual assault. Which it's probably one of the things I don't like about a lot of his works.
Yeah, it's kind of like
because he falls back on it a lot.
What's his name? What's his name?
Oh, who?
What's his fucking name? Frank Miller does the same shit, and it's equally as fucking annoying.
The only way he can write women is either they're poly purebred or horse prostitutes.
If you say that one more time, I'll smack you.
So you're saying Miller has a Madonna whore complex?
No, he actually does.
Yeah, he straight up does. It's very, very annoying.
And like Moore likes to do that a lot, particularly with women characters. And granted, while it wasn't true sexual assault like what he did to Barbara in The Killing Joke.
The way it's like framed or contextualized.
No, the way it's framed.
Just fucking creepy.
Yeah,
it's creepy and unsettling, and not really necessary.
Well, it also seems like a crutch. Like,
yeah,
it's like, how can I make an emotionally intense scene? You know what? Once again, going to anime, there are certain animes that do like either they kill a very like adorable innocent character, or they do like have a sexual assault thing with a character. It's supposed to be a cheap way of shocking and getting you emotionally attached with.
Yeah, and it
when it's done like very like either repeatedly or really like inappropriately, it comes off really bad.
Well, then a lot of writers they view it as something that just happens to women.
Yeah,
and it's gross and very. You do not have the talent to write about this sort of thing.
Well, also they usually don't do it from the woman's perspective, or they don't try to sympathize.
That too.
It's very unsettling.
Or it's just a plot point, like in Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think he at least does a great service aside from that, like to the fact that like he does not sugarcoat any of these characters. These characters are who they are, and we see that.
I mean, the people I think we get the least like bitterness from are of course like Lori and Dan. But even then, they have their moments of being
A couple of Ghost Riders just fucking went by.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, basically.
But as I was saying, because I know like Dan, like his whole thing is like he's just he's milquetoast. He's ineffective. He's pretty much as we keep saying impotent. Where he's just so flaky about doing anything. He's his indecisiveness is annoying. Lori is very, I would say, just gets really like annoyed.
Lori's probably the
easily.
most normal fucking person in the entire group.
Yeah, but even then, like it's not like she's a Mary Sue, so she definitely has her like picadillos, but pretty much though. But I think like what you're saying is that there's no like this character is either 1% evil or 1% good. It's not like trying to highlight or sugarcoat things.
Yeah,
it's like these are the characters raw.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think what that comes to the head the most in when we get the revelation on Mars with Manhattan and Lori, where she finds out who her father really is.
Yeah.
The comedian. And I think that there is probably the most interesting because it really shows how much like the tension between her and her mother is purely on her end for the most part because of the fact she feels like her mother hides a lot from her. The fact that her mother basically tried to run her life.
Yeah.
When really what her mother was trying to do was keep her safe and not go down the same mistakes she did.
I mean, that's definitely one part. Another part, though, I think in the dossier she talks about how she wanted Lori to have the life that she couldn't have after having, Lori. So it's like, I want you to still enjoy what I can't enjoy anymore. So, I mean, that's, I think, another reason why she wanted that as well.
It's also very interesting to see how the two of them are mirrored.
Yeah.
Where, in spite of all the horrible things that happened to the first Silk Spectre, and the fact that she's dying in this, right?
Yeah, she, I think, has...
Yeah, she's dying of, like, lung cancer.
Right.
From smoking. But, like, despite, like, all the horrible things that happened to her life, she's still moderately happy. Because at least she had Lori. Which, again, further goes into Manhattan's revelation when she realizes that, something great came out of, like, out of the comedian.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, no. The thermodynamic miracle.
Yeah, like, and I think it shows, you know, like, but it also shows kind of like how much it kind of reverses at the end too, when Lori tells her, I know who my father is. And she tells her it's okay. You know, like, I understand. And she goes off happy with Dan, and then we see her mother in the house alone with the only thing that she has of the comedian, which is that picture that she had.
Yeah.
And I think it's, again, credit to, like, the way this is, not just the way it is written, but the way the art showcases things.
Yeah.
And I know I'm probably gushing a lot, but, like, again, Watchmen is not just good because of the plot and the dialogue. It's good because the art tells the story so well.
Well, that's the thing. If this was just a novel, it would not work as well as being a graphic novel.
Yeah. Just to be fair, I think that's one of the things that some comics miss is that you need to have the art tell the story too. Like, because I think pretty much all of us, our favorite comics are the ones where the art tells the story just as much as...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, that's one of the reasons why I love the Longbow Hunters and all the stuff written by Mike Grell when he did Green Arrow. But yeah, like I said, I think Laurie's story is very interesting. It's a shame we don't see a lot of it because Moore does not really. I think I shouldn't say he doesn't care, but I think he writes her very much more as like kind of the resolution for everyone else in the plot.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I think the thing we should also talk about the plot itself is that not only is it pretty simple, but it's also tightly told because there's 12 issues.
Yeah.
Of course, 12 being the number of hours on a clock. Yeah, but so of course he has to be able to tell this whole story in 12 issues, which I'll be honest, that seems like a daunting task. So I think I would say he definitely pulled that well. But of course, he said like it would be nice to see more of these characters of this world a bit more. Yeah.
You have any plot points you want to bring up, Colton?
Well, we should go from that to, of course, Manhattan leaves. Of course, that causes the Cold War to intensify because, for those who haven't read the graphic novel, the reason why the Cold War was like pretty cold there, like nothing was happening, because in this universe,
how are they gonna fight that?
Right, yeah. Dr. Manhattan becomes the weapon of the United States government.
Yeah,
they use him and the comedian for Vietnam, which has this badass picture of him like towering over the trees and the skies are red and
that's actually one of the few things I really like about the movie is when they show them in Vietnam, that image, they place fucking Flight of the Valkyries as their
it's very much the whole way it's drawn. It's very much an Apocalypse Now.
Yeah,
reference.
it is.
Yeah,
it's with the comedian's face
absolutely.
like looking like Carol Kurtz kind of. But so of course this is part of Adrian's plan with of course Dr. Manhattan. Does it turn out that he didn't cause his friends and his ex-girlfriend to have cancer?
No, Adrian gave them cancer.
Because they all worked at that institute where I guess they were exposed to radiation unknowingly or nobly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the movie does it shows a little bit more, but apparently Adrian did in fact expose them all to cancer.
Right.
Which I'm like, wow,
the fuck,
what a dick.
Yeah, what a dick.
Exactly. Then of course so with the Russians knowing that hey, they lost their super weapon. Let's go invade Afghanistan.
Oh yeah, I forgot they do that.
Yeah,
which
because
mirrors the actual invasion of Afghanistan.
Right, and then of course, so that's
with those brave Mujahideen.
Oh god, the boys were,
I'll stay with our Mujahideen brothers until the end.
Oh god, I love the
Still
boys.
to this day, when I first saw that episode of The Boys, I was like, no, come on, don't do this.
They were doing.
Don't do Rambo 3.
No, they knew what they were doing. They fucking knew.
And not just that, but as with progress, as things get heated up, they also are starting to invade Pakistan. So that, of course, caused the United States to consider using nuclear bombs. And well, that's so as.
And also, Nixon is slowly melting as the book progresses.
And and they're actually showing projections of this is the least amount of millions of people to die according to this projection run. But so that's kind of like the impetus, along with them trying to find who killed the comedian. The Watchmen, as they join together as a party, they have to then try to stop the nuclear Armageddon that's on the cups of weeks. It's
I want to say it is weeks, basically.
Yeah, but of course then we have to talk about Rorschach being captured, being tipped off by I guess Adrian tipped them where he was.
Yeah, because
the Moloch. Because
he had Moloch killed.
right, because Rorschach thought that this ex-villain Moloch was responsible for the comedian's death, and Moloch did have he told him that the comedian came to him in a drunken stupor to confess something.
Yeah.
So later Rorschach goes back and Moloch is shot in the head.
Yeah.
And the police come, so they think he killed him. He got framed.
I've been set up. Someone set me up. They knew I was just coming on to them.
Which I gotta say, that's a
Come
cool,
out with your hands up. Ready whenever you are.
And he's able to get away and for the most part get away, or not get away, but run away from these guys.
Well, I give Rorschach credit. He held them back with just a can of
baking powder or aerosol.
It was a can of aerosol and a book of matches. I was like, you have to give him credit for being able to handle the SWAT with just that.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
On his grappling hook.
Anything about that so far with the plot? Like, you guys have a.
It's funny you brought up Moloch because I'm going to say, he was also a key to the plot of him giving all those people cancer.
Yeah.
Because Moloch, I want to say he gave him cancer, but it was so he could test these drugs that he was using to cure him of it.
Yeah.
Because Adrian, of course, well, he did give them cancer. He's super smart. He knows how to cure cancer.
Right.
But then, of course, Moloch told all this stuff about, the comedian coming to him and telling him about all the stuff up at his base at the North Pole.
In the island.
In the islands, he had to die.
Yeah. Let's see. Then, of course, we get to Rorschach in prison. You're not. I'm not here with you. You're in here with me.
I really love the Rorschach in prison.
No,
stuff,
that's
where
a
he
great
he
one.
drives that psychiatrist fucking bonkers.
Well, the thing is, the psychiatrist is supposed to be. He's a parody of the smug, I'm educated and I'm a good standing member of society, and I can fix him if he just allows me to.
It's very much like
A paternalistic,
it's a sense of irony throughout the whole thing that I really appreciate.
Which is kind of sad because, again, the movie does away with most of that.
Oh.
Well, they don't go into his life, of course, but
What? But that's part of his story, though.
yeah, but they care more about the Rorschach stuff than they do the therapist. So
Yeah,
most of his stuff is cut.
Fine, I guess.
He does live in this version though,
Okay.
because he's some reason in the prison during at night,
Okay.
and Rorschach comes in there to get his Rorschach stuff, his accoutrement,
Yeah.
if you will. He goes, mind handing me my mask?
Oh, it's over here. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes to the doctor. He's like, "Tell me something, doctor. What do you see?"
Wait, so the psychiatrist lives?
Yeah, the psychiatrist. And I'm like, really, really, Rorschach? Really?
By the way, not that he's killed by Rorschach in the book. What happens is basically Rorschach tells how he became Rorschach. Along with his thing is his terrible relationship with his mother and being bullied really bad and having mental issues with that. He tells the story of where Rorschach, what's his name? His actual name?
Oh, it's Walter Kovac.
Kovac, yes. It's the day where Kovac, who was dressing and his persona as Rorschach, the day where Walter Kovac died and Rorschach was born.
Honestly, even though it's gruesome as shit, it is one of my favorite parts of the book.
It's definitely one of the most poignant parts of the entire book, honestly.
Because up until that point, you think Rorschach is nuts. Is just this psychopath that just uses being a superhero to get off on violence and trying to prove that everyone's wrong and he's right.
And can I just say one quick thing about the psychiatry thing? The first story he talks about where how he made his mask from that dress of the woman, and then he tells how that woman the dress was made for was brutally raped and was watched by everybody in the apartment complex. And you're both as a reader, and then of course the psychiatrist says, "I'm not sure if he is experienced that or if he got it from a story." So the psychiatrist is kind of speaking what we already know as a reader. We don't know if he's a reliable narrator or unreliable narrator.
Yeah, I want to say that's because that was actually based on a real life event that happened.
Right.
If I remember correctly, where basically people said that they heard this woman screaming for distress. They're not sure what. I want to say it was either something like that or she was murdered outside of her apartment.
Right.
And basically people just sat there and watched. Didn't call the cops, just did nothing.
Which I think is interesting with the psychiatrist being I'm going to write this off as his being delusional, when really, whether or not it really happened, I mean, I think what's more important is this is how Rorschach sees the world.
Yeah, and it's like regardless of what he says, like that, it's still it still shows what is at most what is wrong with his ideals, which is he sees everything as blacks and whites. There is no gray. There is just evil and there is good.
But which is, can I get a little philosophical here? I'm not going to dwell too much because I'm saying that for later. That's a promise for later, but or tease. But because he says that God didn't kill that child. Neither thing in the universe that was humans. So he doesn't believe in God, it seems, or at least he doesn't believe in inventing God. He doesn't believe in destiny. So he believes that in that, which usually having a belief in the supernatural is what a lot of people use for absolute morality. Like there's an absolute good and there's absolute evil, black and white. There's no grays.
Yeah.
But the fact that he doesn't believe that, but yet he still adopts that morality of there are black and whites, but it's what we create. It's like a very absolute version of existentialism where even if there is no inherent morals, we have the responsibility of creating them and living by them. I think that's Rorschach's thing, is that even if he believes there is no God or destiny making absolute morals, he should live by his own code with no compromise.
It's one of the... What's that?
I was going to say, which of course, after that story, well, should we tell the story? But point is, it's a very dark story where Rorschach, is broken mentally. And it even breaks the psychiatrist who, even at the end, realizes that, wow, I was wrong about this whole case.
Which also, I think, almost ruins his marriage, and
because his wife wants him to be this happy. The dinner scene.
Yeah.
So after the chapter of Rorschach ends where the psychiatrist and his wife, who are been having some marital problems, they have this dinner scene with these other yuppie couples, because that was the thing in the 80s, of course, the yuppie culture.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, hey, talk about Rorschach. What are some weird, pervy, weird things they said. And the psychiatrist, instead of being jovial and sharing something kooky, he's like, oh, he told me a story about how he burned this guy alive to kill a child and killed these dogs. And everybody's quiet. Next panel, everybody's quiet. The couple leaves, and the wife is she just walks away from him. Because the psychiatrist, he thought he lived in this ideal world of, everything's pleasant and, zen and nothing's wrong. And he's really this is a lot of darkness in the world. And that's what he learns from Rorschach.
Which is hilarious to me, because I'm like, my dude, you are a prison psychologist. This probably shouldn't even be the most fucked up thing you've heard that day.
I think the problem is he lives even though he has his job there, to him they're these are just cases. They're not human beings.
Because bringing up something that this parallels to, The Dark Knight Returns, which also does not have a very good view of psychology with Dr. Wolper, the guy who rehabilitates the Joker, and that. A big thing that was a problem in the 80s was that, there were quack psychologists who would, use you to, write a book, or, they'd be on the TV and they would try to help people, but, they clearly were not.
Yeah, pop psychology. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pop psychology.
Yeah.
And this guy is clearly supposed to be a representative of pop psychology.
Exactly, right.
Dude is a prison psychologist who probably deals with a lot of high functioning psychopaths.
Exactly.
So again, because he thinks that all we need is to open them up and give them some love, which granted would not be what these psychiatrists would. God damn it!
It's starting to rain again.
It's starting to rain again.
Also, I'm really glad because I noticed you guys thought I was zoning out.
Right.
I thought for sure somebody where we're parked. There's a Toyota dealer in front of us. I straight up thought somebody was attempting to steal a car.
Oh no!
I was like, come on, man! I don't want to have to call 911 in the middle of the episode. That's a whole new kind of fucking weird shit.
It makes you feel really better. The last night you and I worked, I started drifting off to the car because there's a car next to us while we were talking. I swear to God, it looked like someone was having sex in that truck.
Jesus!
What the fuck?
What's if you guys are going to places where people are having sex?
I don't know, man. What the fuck why can't we just film a show without some weird shit happening?
That's what's gonna happen when you film in the car.
I really wanted to film this episode, man.
And not to be the
but I killed us.
You stop.
Well,
you
actually,
fucking stop.
Can I just say one thing about the end of that chapter, and something I think, Colin, because it's not just literature, but also pop or rock music. How do you guys feel about like every end of the issue? It's a quote either from a book or a song.
I really like it, honestly.
No, those are really good. And I think they do really well of like summarizing like what you've read.
Exactly.
I think when you reread the issue again with that quote in mind, it helps to like kind of really drive home the
encapsulate.
As a Bob Dylan fan, I'm especially biased in this.
No, well, also, I mean, there was a Nietzsche quote too, so I can...
Yeah, for being a dark wizard of London, Moore has a very interesting taste in music.
No, he really does.
And before anyone gets on me, come on. He himself makes jokes that he's a dark fucking wizard.
Does his daughter also make those jokes?
Yes. She played Pokemon Go and she took a picture of him next to a Zubat in his wizard cave. Which I think basically because his daughter does not care for his bullshit.
Well, of all the people, she would be the one living all the time, so she has to be like, "Look, Dad, I'm done with this."
So yeah, did you guys see that comic I sent you, or comic panel I sent you, where he's signing away his rights to Watchmen, and it's this dude like his lawyer like talking about, you'll get the rights to this back as soon as Watchmen is no longer selling. How long will that be? Like, yeah, that's it.
So real quick, just moving on in the interest of time.
That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah. Let's see what happened. Of course,
We were at the prison psychologist, and then him busting out.
Oh, yeah.
well, before that though, Dan and Lori, and which I gotta say, I love that thing with Dan and Lori because as we keep talking about, Dan is like, pretty much his theme is impetus before becoming Night Owl. Like once again, he's like, even as you see in the art, he's like disheveled or portly. His hair is all messed, like squiggly. But him and Lori, which I love that they're like, both of them need each other to finally, break out of this like rut they're in. Like, because at first, the first time they try to have sex, it's doesn't come out. He becomes impotent.
Yeah.
But that dream sequence, which I think is a very like, it's at some point it's not pretentious, but it's so beautiful and like symbolic, and I love that like that woke up Dan to be like, no, I must take action, and he why I love that thing is that he realized that if with the intimate fear of death, with death possibly coming at any second, they have to take action. So no longer am I going to be Dan this
It's really weird though that he was just in his cave, just completely buck-ass naked as he's getting.
Y'all gonna stand and pretend I ain't buck-ass naked?
Look, what are you gonna do when you have an existential crisis? You're gonna get naked.
Well, yeah, but like you see him all naked with his gloves. I'm like, maybe Rorschach ain't the most fucked up member of this group.
What are you talking about? There doesn't need to be a porn parody of Watchmen, and this is the porn parody.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who peeps at the Watchmen?
Who cucks the cuckman?
I'll see that later. The cuck spot. Okay, go back to
Dr. Cuckhatton.
And when the simps and the cucks ask, give us release, I'll say, edging.
So, I love that.
I hate my life. I hate that this is what I do.
No, you don't.
So, I love the horse sequence where they become superheroes again. They bring back Archimedes. They go and save this apartment of people from a fire. And, of course, I love the ending, which I know it's a bit obvious with the, Archimedes going straight up.
Well, then, the flamethrower going off, too.
Yeah,
when he
when they're
finally
about
releases.
to make love. But I thought that was like, yes, like it's, I thought they were going to make him pathetic the whole time. I'm like, wow, they actually made Niall my favorite character because he's like, kind of like all of us were like, we want to be, these great heroes, do great things, have passion. And we're weighed down by our own selves and insecurity. But because of the love and encouragement he gets from Lori and, the knowledge of, like the existential thing of like, I won't be here forever, so I should make the most of it. He kicks ass and, he gets the girl and he gets ready to save Rorschach, which I just love that scene.
I also love when Lori, like, he tells Lori, like, she thinks she's like, oh, round 2. I think we should bust Rorschach out tonight. What?
Wait, can I ask a question? Okay, I asked Colin this about the movie, which he didn't remember, so I want to know about this. Is it true that when that scene happens of them making love the second time in Archimedes, do they play Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah? Why? It's not a sad moment. It's a triumphant moment.
I think the idea
I'm
is
glad you remember that because he straight up asked me that, and I'm like, dude, the last time I watched the movie was like 2010. I don't fucking remember.
Because I was listening to one of my radio shows.
I came in like halfway through that movie. It was on TV one night.
I was listening to an episode of Ron Fez from like 2000 and what year it came out? 9 or 10?
Yeah, I think about it. Came out 2009.
2009. And they mentioned that. I'm like, as they were talking about the movie review, like the week it came out, I'm like, why would they put a sad song? It's the song from Shrek, Hallelujah. That's not a sad moment.
I think it's because
The way
like,
Archimedes, I can almost get credit.
I think the idea is supposed to be like, oh, hallelujah, he's finally.
That's fucking stupid, though.
No,
I've seen a better use of that song in fucking Shrek.
Barry White. Barry White's sex groovy music would have been there. Oh baby,
I would have died. That would have been funny as fuck.
Doug,
what?
I can't look at you right now because now I'm just picturing you trying to.
I've been really trying.
Yeah, you like trying to seduce some woman while you're
Saying Barry White songs.
Let's get on.
Oh baby, take off that.
What is this
Rosita.
fucking show? What is this shit? Who is this?
It's Remember the Hyphen.
But no, I'm just saying, if I
Duncan, this cost me 6,000 episodes and one fucking DVD set. That's right.
But no, I'm sorry because when I get to the movie, I'm gonna shit on that scene when I see it. But
As you should. It's
Yeah,
fucking
you
dumb.
should. It's fucking stupid.
but I do love that
They
part.
could have put fucking Shine down over that and it would have been better.
But I do love. But the comic book, I love that scene. I love that whole thing because I think it's a great triumphant, like passion-inducing moment. Like it's I think one of the light moments, like the shining beams of light, is in that part of the book.
Well, the other thing though is there is this kind of idea that like Lori and Dan like's relationship is based on nostalgia, and I think they try to kind of say that like their relationship is kind of messed up in a way.
Which, I mean, that does play out more in later. I think that's true. I think you have a point there.
I mean, to be fair, in the TV show for HBO, apparently they become FBI agents.
I don't want to talk about that fucking show.
I'll be honest. I don't know if I'm gonna watch.
That's weird, anyways, because like only Lori shows up. I'm like, where the fuck Dan? Like,
The show sucks. I'm sorry. I don't like the show.
to be fair, I've heard.
The only reason I have it was fucking one of them Black Friday deals. Get the shit for like $5. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not wasting that much money.
The only sequel, in my opinion, that's any good to this is the Rorschach one, but oddly by Tom King, which says something because I rarely, if ever, defend him.
Yeah.
But it's surprisingly good.
So should we go into the Rorschach breakout scene?
Yeah. Just
the one with the big figure?
In the interest of time.
Yeah, we're sorry. Yeah.
Which I'm sorry, more that was like one of the most on the thing.
Get the saw. No.
Well, then the fact that he's the big figure, but he's like he's the big figure, but
God!
but he's like a yeah. I think it's more ridiculous in the movie where like
He kills the guy with like he goes to the bathroom and Lori and Dan
He
think
Billy butchers him. He kills him in the bathroom.
but they think he's using the bathroom like of course like they didn't know he's killing somebody.
also fun fact, Doug.
What?
The guy who plays the big figure,
Yeah.
he's the little fella from Seinfeld.
Really
That's who they get for the big figure.
interesting.
Which again, that is the most on the nose fucking thing ever, where he's called the big figure and he's a
Yeah.
little person.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, and then of course the whole joke's like, "Oh, get no more little people jokes, huh?" And the guy's like a big fat guy, fat chance. Oh, you like the fat henchman tries to strangle him, Rorschach. Which
Yeah.
I gotta say, I like he does have a sense of humor, so that was nice to see.
Dry ass sense of humor.
Oh,
Never
definitely
thought
dry.
about cleaning human filth up with a toilet.
It's drier than dry martini. So I guess we should move on then to, of course, then Dr. Manhattan. Oh, we didn't even talk about his, but mainly his backstory, which is really a great backstory.
No, like his backstory is really well done, and it's written in such a really interesting way where he's seeing it through time, and like we only get snippets here and there of his past, which I think
Right.
really shows how fractured his mental state is with how like he perceives time.
And I think that's a good version of like postmodern story. I mean, I know I said postmodern as a joke before, but that is, I think, a good postmodern way of telling a story where it's out of sequence.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because once again, it's supposed to be like quantum physics. Like time is relative, or yeah.
And then we probably get the most famous imagery from this where Dr. Manhattan brings Lori to Mars, and he's built this giant glass castle.
Which is so beautiful.
Yeah,
I love the image.
I actually will admit, I think the CG in the movie actually really does a great job of portraying that castle.
Nice.
Like there's that. I love how like the big reveal for Manhattan happens while Rorschach and Night Owl go to Ozymandias' building when they start realizing that all this stuff seems to be happening around Vite.
Yeah.
You know, they break in, which
Yeah, that's his company. Also his last name, but it's also his company.
also, my God, his password for his
Is
computer.
Vite somehow related to Vought Industries from the Boys universe? Stay
I
tuned.
actually would be wondering if.
I know that's Vite in Vought. I don't know. No,
That's what I said.
They're German.
Somehow related?
Well, actually, I think Vite's
they could
Dutch,
be.
maybe.
Be kind of interesting. There's a crossover for you. The
Well, I
Boys
want-
and Watchmen. I straight up Rorschach straight up would be somehow classified a terrorist by Vought.
Oh, definitely.
obviously.
But no, that was so obvious. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
really?
His password is Ramses the Second. I'm like,
Really?
yes, thank you.
What do you think is worse, that or Iron Man?
Who are we going to call for this? Unknown. Calls Rorschach.
Jesus.
The only one who's even more batshit than Billy Butcher is fucking Rorschach.
But you guys know.
All right, first things first. We're gonna go to a showing of Cars 2 so I can eat beans.
Jesus. But you guys know, like, which Marvel game in the last, like, 5 years had Kamala in it, and she was the main character?
Miss Marvel.
No.
No, the video game.
Oh, the
The
Avengers.
Avengers.
For
The
fan,
yeah.
Miss
for
Marvel's
Starman.
Avengers. That game's terrible. By
Well,
the
no.
way.
Do you know the scene where she's, like, trying to hack into Tony Stark's computer?
Or his password is I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am Iron Man, which is, like, that's, to me, what reminded me of when I got to the scene with Watchmen. Like,
Oh, that
really?
scene, that's way worse. Because I'm like, yes, thank you. I have watched Iron Man in 2008. I've seen the movie. Thank you.
Yeah. But I have a question. When did you guys feel like was the exact moment you realized? Okay, I guess it's hard because I think because it's so old, we all knew who the villain was going to be, right? We all knew it was going to be Adrian, right? When we first read it.
I basically kind of suspect.
I think
I knew the ending.
I think
that's what
I
I'm saying.
figured
I knew
it.
the ending.
I think I figured it out around the time we were shown Bubastis
Okay.
and like the fact that he has like this big like base
Genetically-
up in the north. I'm like, why would they show us that unless it's important?
It's
That's
kind of
true,
it's kind
yeah,
of
I
like them
didn't think
showing
about
Talia's back tattoo in Dark
Yeah.
Knight Rises. Why
Yeah.
the fuck would they show you that if it wasn't going to be important?
That's true. I do
Or-
appreciate that.
How Scrappy they have that flashback to Scrappy Doo in the
Yeah.
Scooby Doo movie, and it's
Why
like,
the fuck would they show you
Look at
that if
that.
he's not going to show up?
yeah,
It's
and then
Chekhov's-
Scrappy's the villain.
It's Chekhov's gun.
Very much so.
I would say mine is exactly that scene where, like, because I thought, wait a minute, pyramid, and of course the institute, it has a pyramid symbol. I'm like,
Yeah.
of course.
And then of course we get to them going to Vate's place. They try talking him down, and probably one of the most iconic scenes in this whole book. I'm like, thank God we got to you before you actually did it.
Do you take me for some kind of comic book supervillain? I launched it 15 minutes
To
ago.
go like it.
I remember the first time reading that, I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, like he did the sensible thing.
Like
Oh, yeah.
I could have guessed it was gonna happen, but like the way they do it, you know, it's all this lead up and this lead up and we're gonna get this
It's like
big
a climax,
climactic
yeah.
superhero battle.
Yeah.
I launched it, and they're like, you know, our heroes are gonna stop it. I launched it 15 minutes ago. It hits you like a sack of bricks.
No, it's fucking intense. And then the next.
And then the next
here's
issue
the-
is just the pages, no dialogue, no
Yeah,
nothing,
just seeing
scenes
the
of chaos
carnage.
and bodies, and it's like,
it's haunting to be
yeah, it
honest,
is.
yeah.
It's
and
you,
also,
you don't want to look, but you can't,
Can't
not.
not.
And here's the thing about this thing with them like trying to they try to talk to Adrian, but
Call off, Cat.
when Rorschach tries to like sneak attack him, and Adrian's is explaining calmly, perfectly, like fluently his plans or what's going on, while doing like these like ridiculous combat moves, and he even like punches like or gets like Rorschach's like no, it was Dan, like he punched Dan in the nose and got him all bloody, and he's
Yeah.
Or the scene where
predicting Rorschach's attacks.
or the scene where Laurie fucking shoots him.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that one
catches.
is
Catches
still-
the bullet.
That's
I'm like,
still
what
I
the
don't
fuck?
get. That one.
Well, like I said, I think the implication is that like while he is really trained, I think he used some of the science they used to make the monster to give himself a bit of an edge.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish they would kind of play it.
That
more
like he was
in.
probably the first test subject of this genetic modification stuff.
I
Yeah.
would say Bubassa would be the first.
Well, I mean, like not like
superhuman, like enhancing.
yeah, like
Okay,
he
yeah,
like
yeah.
that like the earliest was him enhancing himself, and then he's like,
Yeah, I can see
you know, I
that.
could use this.
But I gotta be honest. I really felt bad for Bubastis. Like,
No,
No.
we all fucking do.
Man, I was like, why do you gotta kill the dog thing?
or
Cat.
Lynx. It's
Okay,
Oh yeah,
call
it
off
is
Cat.
it is a cat.
Call off, Cat.
Well, is it a lynx, a cat, or
It's a cat. It's some kind of cat.
Well, I think it's supposed to be kind of a mixture of a lynx and like a jackal because
something
you know
like that? Yeah.
Egyptian.
But I mean, granted, even Adrian's like, "I'm sorry, Bubastis," which is like,
I'm sorry,
okay,
girl.
Even though,
And then Manhattan's like, I guess I'll fucking show up now. And I'm like,
yeah, 'cause you
Oh,
can't-
and that scene where he like
he just
after-
fucking shows up. He's like, what's up?
oh, that or when he gets disassembled again. He's like, you thought that would stop me? One of the first things I did as Manhattan was put my. And he comes back all fucking giant. He's like
Vietnam
stomping
style
around.
of Manhattan.
I was like,
Raising-
holy shit.
What's up, everybody in Manhattan?
Yeah, no.
that's the thing.
Aren't you a DC property? Yeah,
Yeah,
I kind
I'm
of just feel like I should be here.
Because that's the thing. You think that when that first happens, if you're a first reader, not knowing the ending, you think, oh, he killed Dr. Manhattan. But then, of course, like 5 pages later, he comes back and ready to fuck shit up. Then, of course, he's like, look at the news. And once again, should we explain the entirety of the plan of or not? Just simply
He launches a space creature that he genetically made. Basically, his plot is I'll create an even bigger threat than World War, and it'll cause everybody to unite against it rather than ignite into World War.
Right, exactly.
And his plot is they can't tell us about it because if they do, it'll unravel everything, and everything will just go straight up into World War III. There you go.
I mean, yeah. So
This is the short version.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. It is convoluted, the whole genetic thing, and also the transportation.
Sound like a bad comic book plot.
Exactly. Well, also another thing too is that he was discovering, he was testing around with. Also, this is what decades of since the 70s or 60s he's been playing this. So because he also has this science company where he laboratory where he tests with transportation. It works, but whoever uses it, they explode. So he's like, huh. So if I use my genetic testing or genetic biology thing, make creatures, and I use this teleportation, I can make a alien-like looking like because it's not an alien, it's a genetically lab created thing, but he calls an alien to make
Basically a fucking alien.
well, that's
Or a squid, as a lot of people make
Well, yeah,
jokes about.
squid,
It's a giant squid.
but it's so
basically.
alien looking that it would make the world powers think that it's an alien force.
Yeah.
So, okay, so since we got to this part, any more parts before that? Because I kind of do want to get to my philosophical, analysis of that. So, I mean, I'll try to make it as short as possible.
But well, basically, they all agree except Rorschach.
Yeah.
Because Rorschach's never compromised, not even in the face of Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the moralist of the group. And
Absolute moralist, I would say.
Yeah, well, and as he's leaving, basically they all start worrying, but basically Manhattan agrees with Veidt, even though he doesn't say it. He goes out there, he thinks maybe he can talk to him, and Rorschach goes, "Is Vince sent you, huh? What the hell? One more body amongst the masses? Well, what are you waiting for? Kovac, do it."
No!
I mean, that doesn't happen.
The fucking thing in the movie with Night Owl coming out and he's on his knees, he's like, no! And I'm like, it's so fucking funny looking. To the point that it's on my phone as a reaction.
No,
just in case I already don't bring that shit
when
out.
I got to that part in the movie, I'm like,
okay.
well, I mean, I'm already pissed at the ending, because the ending is the worst part of that movie. Everything else is really good.
And then
Yeah.
you're just like, what the fuck is this?
And what the, you had everything else right. What the fuck?
It was great, then you ruined it.
Yeah, it really is that. It basically is like watching a dude get to the 1 yard line in a football game, and he fumbles the goddamn ball.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Or, I guess the movie decided to have premature ejaculation right there.
Well, I mean, Dan would know that.
But, and so basically, everyone leaves and wraps up.
Well,
Manhattan goes to
Don't forget, before he goes away, though, Dan and Lori, they're traumatized and they're trying to make do with what they agree with, so they have one last.
Yeah, they fuck, make stains all over Veidt's floors. It's okay, they're marble, they clean easily.
Get the hose out. Get the squeegee.
Manhattan looks at them like, oh,
No,
I hope Dan gets me an Xbox
No,
for
he
taking
has
my
this
girlfriend.
smile, yeah, that's it's. I'm sorry, but
It's supposed to be like he's happy, he's glad for the two of them because
But I couldn't resist. He's positive cuck representation.
he is. Of course, Veidt, goes to the Manhattan, was I right? Did I do? And he has no answer. He's like, I grow tired of these people. I think I'm going to go out into the universe and create some new ones.
Yeah.
He leaves. We get the wrap up with Lori and her mom.
Well, also before that, the world is unified. Actually, I think it's What's so funny there?
No, I'll show you later. I'll show you
All
later.
right.
I'm sorry. I was checking my phone and it came up.
Trying to rush us along. He's like, time to look at memes.
Well, before
Wait, I can fix it. Hold on, I can fix it.
Jeez.
Give me a second. Not that.
Anyway, I'm
Where
going to
is
continue
it?
the wrap up.
Well, of course,
No.
Yeah, thank you.
but yeah, also Russia, America, the
Oh,
Soviet
come on,
Union,
Flip. I'm begging you.
they're now like allies now, and
Yeah.
like there's like cultural exchange, and also everything's clean and like it's supposedly a
No.
exactly. It's supposed to be a better world like after the attack in New York, and then of course
And then the stuff with Lori and her basically her and Dan are on the run. They're gonna go into like they're basically going to like start off being superheroes again.
this time I get a gun.
I feel like she's gonna be like a female Punisher, which I'm like, I can get behind this.
Well, she's gonna be the comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so of course we get to the new frontiersman. We get the scene with the editor talking to the one of his like copy guys. You're like, what?
Snotty boy from
He is.
He's Snotty Boy from
He's Snotty Boy
Backyard.
from Barnyard.
yeah.
He really is. He's also that dude from fucking what was it? What's the one about the blue guy?
Oh, Megamind, Megamind.
Oh yeah,
He's
Megamind. Yeah, he's from
He's that,
Megamind.
he's that asshole from Megamind.
And basically, he tells the dude like,
And he
what's
can't
it
get
matter?
credit.
Yeah, what's it matter? The world's coming to an end. You got the letters. The decision is yours. What you put in there. And of course, it shows him, spilling his jelly donut onto Rorschach's journal.
Which has all the evidence of what's been going on, really.
And that's where the book ends. It basically, it tells you, does this guy tell the story? Does he read it and does he decide to put it in? Or does he decide that, world peace is too important?
And okay, so since that's a wrap up, I'll make it quick. It will be 5 minutes of this and whatnot. So I want to touch on what I saw as a philosophical dilemma that's represented by Adrian and the others and Rorschach. We already kind of talked about the idea of moralities and different type of moralities characters have. My belief is this. This is a conflict between utilitarianism and deontological ethics. Okay, I know, big words. I'll break it down.
I was about to say.
Well, utilitarianism is the idea that the ends justify the means. That
Oh, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Exactly. In other words, an action is morally good if the results makes the most people happy, no matter what the means for that is.
Yeah.
And of course, deontological ethics is the idea that an action is morally good if it is good in itself according to rules. In other words, a good action is always a good action, a bad action is always a bad action. You can't use a bad action for a good result.
Yeah.
That's deontology. So that there is where the problem is, where the characters are arguing about what to do after Adrian's plan, because is it horrible what he did, morally irreprehensible, that he did all these killings, that not only before the attack, like he very much
Because he had to cover everything up, so he
murder more people, and of course he caused a war to break out with Manhattan leaving, so a lot of people died and also it implies that after the alien, because it had psychic abilities, the monster
it caused nightmares for people,
so it's also caused like long-term damage to people's psyche, so
which you see in Rorschach, by the way, that sequel.
yeah, exactly. So but the problem is though, and the problem with the thing is, the book really makes you think that World War III, while it's not 100% sure to happen, it's like 90% sure to happen. That's the problem, where it's like, when you think about, was Adrian right to then use all these horrible means to achieve world peace and stop nuclear Armageddon?
Or do you agree with Rorschach, where you don't kill people to save people?
Right. That even so, and also it's based on a lie.
If you kill a killer in the room, the number of killers in the room remains the same.
So I brought 2 guns. God damn it, Jason.
So so basically all that horrible stuff that Adrian did is forgiven from, according to utilitarian view. The deontological, it's like, no, you cannot justify, the ends do not justify the means. You can't kill and massacre, well, would you say even genocide, like killing a whole city?
Yeah.
It's a genocide to basically, supposedly save the world. And it's kind of the same argument, that actually is a criticism of utilitarianism, where, well, if that's the case, then why not enslave 49% of the population to make the 51% happy? According to utilitarianism, logically, to its logical conclusion, one may say that's justifiable. Of course, we wouldn't say that. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So it does pose that issue, and whether or not which one's right, and also it does imply that actually the thing with Rorschach with Dr. Manhattan, oh, you're gonna live in Vite's little world, or his own world. So it also asks the question of, is Vite, does he have the right to have all that power to change the world? Because, I mean, sure, he says he's not going to be a dictator. He's going to make a, because it's also like he's supposed to be socially progressive.
That sounds like a dictator.
But yeah,
I was going to say, this sounds like a dictator.
It's a benevolent
dictator.
dictator. Actually, you know what? It's an enlightened dictator. Actually, that's the thing in like 1700s. Like, there were like these kings, like King Prussia, Frederick the Great, and Catherine the Great of Russia. They were like, yes, they were dictators, like, absolute kings and queens, but they had like socially progressive policies. They were centers of science, and they didn't like oppress
they think
the
it's
people.
because they're so more well versed in the common folk that they always
have the
know what's right.
Right, exactly. So even though but that's
You
the
may
thing.
think you're benevolent, but
You're still controlling other people. You're still
Yeah.
taking away. Also, he's taking away humanity's right to have its own authorities, because really he's playing God. Adrian's playing God. So that, I think, I can't say the book really sells which one's right or
well,
wrong.
it doesn't, because it wants you to think about that quandary and decide for yourself whether you think Vite was right or not.
Exactly. So I think this is a great way, I think, to introduce people to that more. I don't want to say it's a theoretical thing, because I think really in real life people have this thing of like, do I do this because it's going to make the most people happy, or do I do this because this is the right action to do?
Yeah.
So it is, I think, something that we all can relate to. It's just in Watchmen, it's taken to a apocalyptic level of nuclear Armageddon. So I think that's why it's, to me, one of the best, like I'm not even going to say comic books in general. I'll even say literature, because I do consider it literature in general. Like, because once again, comic books is literature. Anything is literature. Songs are literature. With
The
Bob
articles
Dylan.
from Playboy are literature.
Well, okay, now.
I read it for the articles.
Point is, I think that it does a great way. It does it in a engaging and entertaining way. Watchmen does that, show this moral problem in a way I think most people can get and actually relate to. So I love that part of the book.
No, I agree. I think it's very interesting moral quandary that it sets up, to the point where I know people that will, I personally side with Rorschach, because I think morally it's fucked up, especially because like sooner or later you can't keep that lie bottled.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen when that lie comes out?
That genie won't stay in the bottle.
Yeah. And you're basically building a foundation on top of corpses.
And then, of course, if that lie does get out, I mean, imagine the worst things that could happen, like, that felt the sense of betrayal. I mean, you're telling me the Russians and Americans wouldn't think, like, you guys set this up,
It would probably lead to World War III.
if that was
Like,
discovered.
the Russians would be like, so you set all this up to
control us.
control us. Would you have sent that thing to Moscow,
Yeah.
and do it the same thing?
And then, of course, like, once again, can you really feel morally comfortable with all those, like, horrific deaths that, Adrian was responsible for? But at the same time, what about, because the book really makes you feel like nuclear war is on the edge. Like, it's not certain. It's not saying that, like, it's not, the book never says, like, it's going to happen with 1%, but it's very deadly close, and it's like, would you make that decision? That's the hard part.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I guess part of me would have to, I don't know, I guess I would have to go with Rorschach, but at the same time, I guess I would, because I don't trust Vite or Adrian to be this benevolent, enlightened despot.
Like, no human being should have that kind of control.
Power
basically.
corrupts, absolute power corrupts.
I don't know how much I believe in that, but like the idea that you
Well, I mean, like, unlimited, like, unchecked.
like
That's what I
the
meant.
idea of holding lives in the balance, like, especially on that kind of a scale, I don't think anyone should have that right.
Yeah.
But and like I said, for me it's more it's a great stopgap. But what will happen when this eventually gets out? Because it will get out.
Right.
Like, to be fair, I don't even think Rorschach's journal would do it, because Rorschach is a nutcase.
Right. But there will be other loose ends.
There will be other loose ends, because, someone that smart will inevitably miss something, because it's hard to see when you got a nose that fucking long.
Well, he didn't get
Yeah.
right about killing Dr. Manhattan, so of course he's not.
Yeah.
He's not
He's not
He's not infallible. He's
Infallible,
not infallible. He is fallible. He's a human being. Yeah.
But like so I know people that sided with Vate. Like it's like
I mean, I would say I'm close to. I'll be honest. Like I'm kind of more straddling because once again, it does come close to nuclear warfare. Because Nixon, like, he has the football case, bomb thing. So the book makes you feel that.
I remember my old body. It's flabby, white, and riddled with phlebitis.
A good Republican
Fucking
Party.
body.
Dylan, your any thoughts of this or?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. It's pretty heavy. It's really like, there's really no clear answers.
Heavy. Let's use this word heavy. Something wrong with the gravity in 1985? Is that why they had to elect an actor as president?
Yeah.
Okay, Jonah.
But yeah, any closing thoughts before we wrap up? Because I think we're pretty.
It's the only comic book on Time's top 100 books you must read
That's
before you
right.
die, and I think it is very, very deserving of it. I think it's a fantastic story that's been diluted by people missing the point of the work or adding things to it that don't need to be added to.
Yeah, which we're not ever gonna do before Watchmen on here. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't agree with Alan Moore on a lot of things, but I don't see the point in those.
You rather do Watchmen Babies before that or the TV
Oh, I would
show?
absolutely do Watchmen Babies before Watchmen.
Yeah, so as I said in the previous episode, I definitely recommend it.
As do I.
Yeah.
It's a very compelling book. In my opinion, it's what you should read if you really want to tell something really talented with the medium. I think we wouldn't have a lot of like the really interesting stuff in comics today without it. And yes, I know saying that this is one of the things that led into the Dark Age of comics. While yes, the Dark Age was bad, I don't think we would have had the kind of storytelling elements we have in comics today without Watchmen. Like I said, it's not just like a well-told story. It is a visual masterpiece. It really likes to experiment with how to tell story in the medium. And for good or for bad, it inspired a lot of writers. And if nothing else, after this, Dave Gibbons did Batman vs. the Predator.
Nice.
Which I would love to read, but I need to find a copy of that.
Doug, your thoughts?
Really, I'm gonna say it's the same with both of you guys. Like, I really can't anymore. It's definitely a must read, and even if you're not a comic fan, I think if you like good storytelling and good characters, it's definitely something to get into. I would say So I just would say I pretty much what you guys said is what I feel.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this part 2 of our Watchmen review.
Get ready for part 3.
Yeah, part 3 is going to be we do the movie.
I'm not sure
which-
when that's going to be, but
Yeah.
At some point.
at some point. Especially because we're getting close to Halloween, so we're going to be starting to do horror movies.
Yeah, we have some good things planned
Oh
for that.
yeah.
But until then, guys, I'm Average Joe Squad.
And I'm Zongetsu 134.
And I'm John Bentham's Course 1994.
And as always,
We ask you,
remember the hyphen?
and take care.
Later.